Kari was dead, and then she wasn't. But for the wolf demon with lightning in her fists, resurrection is no reprieve from exile. After old witch Xena revives her, Kari must conceal her true nature better than ever before, lest her slayers find her breathing and put her down for good. And since she can no longer return to what she once knew, Kari finds herself adrift, in search of purpose. She gets it when Xena entrusts her with the Lapis Anima, a gem imprisoning the soul of wicked woman Raven. This brings Kari into conflict with Raven herself, who is still very much a threat without her soul, and has devious plans in mind for Kari's destructive abilities. Will the wolf demon succumb to Raven's cruel temptations, or will Kari turn to an unlikely ally for help? The very man who killed her 1 year ago. Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. Today's video, as you might have guessed from the fact that I've read a synopsis and also the title and also its title, is another book review. And for the book review in question, I am returning to the Demon Storm series written by Valerie Storm in order to give you a review of, wait a second, I'll have to pick you up, Storm and Shadow, the second book in the series. Okay, now to set you back down. I have to say, I don't typically talk about covers, but the series overall kind of has some really pretty covers. So I forgot who the cover artist is, but definitely but I would definitely recommend checking their stuff out. Anyway, back to the book itself. I am going to talk about in this video about the second installment of the most obvious example of The Adventures of My OC fantasy series that I have come across. And I have to say that this second installment does everything a sequel is supposed to do. It ups the ante, and it fleshes out the story, and it raises the stakes in a way that in a lot of ways that very much are meant to captivate and draw a lot more attention from its audience. It is not done perfectly. There are some gaps that result due to this new presentation format. But to be fair, I still only went through like a quarter of the series. There are three quarters to go, and based on what I've seen so far, I am willing to be patient and see what else this author is going to trot out within the next has put out within the next or within the following books. Before I get into that, however, it's time I should first give you a broad summary of my impressions. The narrative of this story has very much improved when compared to the previous one. Valerie has a much better idea of where she wants to draw the attention of both readers and characters, and she is much more adept at focusing that attention, making the reading experience perhaps more streamlined, but also more engaging, more impactful. I would kind of say that the emotional aspect of the read has gone down in quality because of that, but the overall quality of this book is very much improved by this development. So if you've enjoyed the first book, you will quite likely enjoy the second one as well. And now that I'm done with the general impressions, it's time I delved into some specifics. The plot of this book picks up a year after the ending of the first one, with main character Kari finding herself within a new status quo that she has to grow into. Her trust within this new status quo, however, ends up being shattered by an upsetting discovery, and she seeks a reprieve from it. She is eventually given her reprieve. However, after she accepts it, she finds it to be a little bit more troublesome than she would have expected. The plot that unfolds from this setup is, I have to say, quite interesting and quite well developed. Very much keeping in tone with what this series has already established, and and also doing a much better job following both the following both the attributes of the characters, as well as connecting them to the narrative world, thereby creating a better synergy between the world and the figures within it, while also giving the narrative developments of this book that much more weight and that much more uh, uh, significance and impact. I am not exactly sure how many of these how many of these synergies were planned out in advance, but I think their general presentation works quite well, considering. The world building is also improved somewhat, following the philosophy of go deeper rather than broader. The first book, perhaps by accident, um, already set out the limits to how broad the world can go, even if subtly. So therefore, leaving Valerie with the uh, with the obvious choice of going deeper within her uh, within her world. And I have to say I think this this development generally paid off. How exactly has she gone deeper? Well, she went into describing the various locations a little bit better, giving them all at least a semblance of a character, highlighting some distinctive features, telling uh, about the histories of the various locations, um, as well as giving some information about how it is that they operate, or what being a part of that particular what that being a part of that particular location is actually like. It's nothing too spectacular, nothing too groundbreaking, but it is enough to it is enough to leave a strong impression. It is enough to but it is enough to make the setting as a whole come across as more believable, more naturalistic, more alive. It's the magic system is improved somewhat similarly. It is expanded a little bit more. There are more reveals about what one can do with the with the magic system and with magical abilities in general. However, I am still somewhat in the dark concerning what exactly the mechanisms through which through which magic works or manifests are supposed to be. The book doesn't really delve into that either. I am looking forward to that being expanded upon within the following books. And really, that is the general impression I am left when going through this book. A lot of things about it are are improvements, but they are not dramatic improvements. And I'm looking for more aspects of the story to be to be improved, to be fleshed out in that way. The one exception to that, and unfortunately it is a negative exception, comes from the characterization. Kari's emotional journey, which in the previous book was well defined enough to functionally be that book's plot, has now regressed somewhat, because she is throughout this book she comes across as quite stagnant, and seems to have lost some of her edge, some of what makes her a more particularly a distinctive figure. And unfortunately, I can say a lot of the same things about her love interest. You could argue that he has the excuse of PTSD for why he has become a little bit more emotionally streamlined. But I don't really, but I don't really see him really wrestling with that either. The conflict between them, because yes, there's a conflict between them, is handled much more in a melodramatic way, rather than giving the audience something to slip into and parse through, or at least that was my impression of it. So I have to say I didn't really get what I wanted from this from this part of the narrative dynamic. When it comes to other characters, most of them are bit players, both old and new, who show up for their, who show up, say their line, and then the story moves ahead. None of them really, I can't really say about any of them that they stand out. The one exception to that is new character Raven, who has already been mentioned in the synopsis, and for good reason, because not only does she have a sizable role within the story, but also she is very much, so far at least, the most interesting character of this series. Her appearance and her demeanor very much make her capture the attention of every other character in the setting, as well as the readers themselves. And her abilities and her history can very much be said to drive the story in a way that that is actually very interesting to behold, and that I found very entertaining to read through. And I very much hope that Valerie took to how she created Raven in terms of inspiration for how to flesh out characters within the future of her series. Overall, while not a dramatic improvement, this book still represents a definitive progression within the as far as the quality of the series is concerned, both in terms of how it presents its narrative and in terms of the general criteria for literary artistry. My final rating for Storm and Shadow is a 3 out of 5. And that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to add, either to the book itself or to my review of it, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe, and ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My books, the first of my own Heir to the Empire series, The Next Generation and A Path Not Taken, are available at various book retailers under their respective master links in the description down below, right past my social media links, which I would suggest you check out should you choose to. I also have a second channel where you can hear me talking about whatever crosses my mind, though it'll typically still be connected to narrative analyses, but for works outside of the printed word medium. If you want to hear more about my thoughts on the printed word medium, then I suggest you stay on this channel and go through my extensive backlog, consisting of book reviews, writing advice, and miscellaneous connected topics. If none of that interests you, then I suggest you go ahead and do whatever you want the rest of your day, because it is your day after all. And yeah, that was all I had to say. So until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.